One of the things that board game enthusiasts are always looking for, myself included, is this idea of replayability, right? We have a game, we have a title, we have mechanics, we have that narrative that we really enjoy. So it's natural to want to play the game many times and each time experience something different, experience something new. I mean, essentially we're buying into a system. So there's this idea, do I want to play it 5 or 6 times? And if I've seen everything, then in terms of resources, not only money, but also time and space and dedication, was it worth it? So this idea of miniatures, this idea of narrative, this idea of rules, these are all things on like the board gaming checklist. Is this title, for me, replayability is another factor. Now I see replayability in 2 ways. And what prompted this vlog, I'm currently, again, making my way through 7th Continent. And absolutely no spoilers. I'm going to touch on a few points in the game. And certainly on YouTube, others have posted awesome reviews of this game and strategy and tactica. But this really got me into the point of thinking, again, replayability. Now, certain, can I say strategy games? I was also recently playing Conquest of the Empire. And Conquest of the Empire is essentially a light strategy type war game. Occasionally, some of the guys will bring over Game of Thrones and we'll play that. The replayability in these head-to-head games is pretty massive because it's based on the player interaction. I mean, literally outside of the game, what factions, what partnerships, what ideas are going on, right? In exploring that, it's your alliances that you make. So the rule set is pretty static. The gameplay is pretty straightforward. Build up your units, attack, do this, do that. But literally, the players at the table make it infinitely replayable. Other games that are going to focus on this idea of replayability, like 7th Continent, you're exploring the game, you're encountering certain things in the game, there's adventure paths, and there's this idea of curses. You've been cursed and you're revisiting the island trying to break the curse. So essentially quests are called curses. And there are multiple quests in the core box, and you can expand out and purchase other quests, expansions. So if we say, well, look, I have 5 total quests, and the island is very large, but it's a finite size, and there's also, being a choose-your-own type adventure game, every time you play through, you tend to sort of see the same stuff. You're starting in similar locations. You know, if I go to this path, it's going to go here, and it's going to connect to that. Essentially, it's a massive, massive, massive decision tree. So from that perspective, if I just look at like machine logic, there is no replayability. You go through the game and it ends. But I put replayability out there in that kind of swap out replayability with, if the game is so large and there's so many choices to make and play, and admittedly some are dead end, some are partial ends, some loop you around and around and around, and you might not be aware of the loop until it's like, wait, I've been here before. How many plays is that going to be? 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 plays? I mean, I'm keeping track of my plays. It gets massive. Now, assuming you don't lose interest or burn out, that happens. Okay, the title doesn't have much in terms of replayability, but am I going to go through 50 times? So there's that first aspect in some games where if it's a choose-your-own-adventure decision-making type game, of course, the decision could also be you fail resources, you fail your rolls, you run out of life, and you die halfway through the game. You're doing everything right. You're on that right branch, but you die along the way. In terms of replayability, when will you see it all? Now, the other aspect to this is I find even, and I'm not there yet with 7th Continent, but I was there with Legacy of Dragonholt, which is another kind of choose-your-own-adventure RPG / well, it's not really a board game, but it does have a map. But essentially, you go through and you make decisions and you see these different parts of the game. The other question is, even when I've solved the game, or I know, okay, look, this is the curse, I know where to go. Now there's another kind of loop around. replayability in that, well, maybe there's some side quests, maybe there's some side stories, maybe there's some other things to see along the way. Maybe there's some other challenges. If I didn't go right here and I went left, this time I'll go right and see what I can encounter. So that adds some more replayability. Then the other two aspects are different characters. This is why for me, board games, yes, being a completionist, yes, I want all the expansions, but when I have to prioritize, or what really I look for in a board game that is character-based, you play some characters, I want numerous characters. I want expansion packs because I can play through the same mission again and again. And even when I have a mission memorized, so to speak, let's jump into Runebound 3rd Edition. Fighting the High Lord Dragon Lords, I know how to do it. I know the quest. I know kind of the optimal way. But with that, playing different characters. So this time I'll play a rogue type character. This time I'll play a scout type character. This time a fighter. This time a wizard. Maybe two wizard/magic users. Wizard and a shaman. Having number of different characters makes a really big difference in terms of the game itself and replayability. And then finally, that final level is just playing with friends. There's playing through Legacy of Dragonholt, no spoilers, I've had a lot of fun. I kind of know about 80% of it at this point, even not having played it for a while and forgetting bits and pieces of it, right? Just my brain is just like, well, all these board games I play, plus role-playing games, and I got to remember last week's adventure, plus war games, plus rule sets, I kind of forget things along the way. So from that perspective, even having played the game a lot of times and understanding I've forgotten bits and pieces, even in remembering all that, playing it with friends that have not played it for the first time, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of neat to sit back and go with whatever decisions they make. I kind of take a more passive approach, and it's like, I'm cool. What does everyone want to do? You know, a great example, Time Stories. I have the first edition or series, the first edition/series of Time Stories. And essentially you're a time agent and you're trying to solve some temporal problems by going to different points in history. And the game looks absolutely fantastic, very beautiful, but it's a story-based game in that there is only one solution. Now, there's a couple of ways to get to that solution, no spoiler, but to repair that time rift, there's one way to do it. If you fail the mission, it completely resets and you go at it again. But this time you kind of, because it's time and it's the same thing happening, you know the correct decision. So if I fail halfway through, it's an interesting take on kind of this choose your own adventure board game. If I fail halfway through and I literally run out of time or I get killed, then when I reset, I know how to go again through that path. And it plays relatively quick. So dying and resetting and retiming and reinserting yourself into the time stream, it's not as clunky as it sounds. But having played through the time stories, the missions, they're consumable. There's only one, well, there's a couple of different endings, but essentially you play through it, and when you've solved it, you know it. Where's the replayability? So the way Time Stories gets around that is to have multiple time modules, stories that you can purchase and fan-created content. But even with that, knowing it, and this is kind of the illustration, when it hits the table every now and then, I'm happy to play it because it's interesting to see the choices the other players make and my friends and their player personalities or even people I don't know, to see, well, would I make that choice? Would I do that? Now, I'm still playing the game and I'm still offering my perspective of what we should do. But I say that in terms of a game that you've played to absolute death but kind of like, injecting some new players and letting them experience it and going along with their decisions kind of adds that other level of replayability. So that holy grail, that idea, this idea of replayability, how important is it in your board gaming collection? What's that level of replayability? Are you like, Fritz, look, I get 10 plays out of a game, 10 solid plays, or I play through the campaign once or twice in the missions. I'm good. I'll revisit it again, but I've gotten my time and money's worth. Or are you the type of player that like replayability must be a minimum of like 100 plays? And even then, there better be some diversity and different paths that I can choose in it. What's important from that perspective? And do you feel that more games are kind of looking for replayability? Or do you feel more board games realize, look, there's so much, I don't want to say competition, but so many different titles and so many different things to choose and pick out there for the board gaming hobby. Are they thinking, look, replayability isn't that important? Deliver a somewhat solid experience, if that, flood the table with tons and tons of miniatures, and it is what it is from that perspective. Is replayability not as important in the board gaming hobby?